Hi everyone, I'm Brianna and welcome to Roll Initiative. Today we're going to be talking a bit about making sympathetic villains, so let's get started. So the first question we need to ask is, why is it so good to have sympathetic villains? We want villains, people who are going to challenge the party and make the story interesting. Not bad guys who meet the party and immediately turn good and join them. But there are a few ways that you can balance out sympathetic villains to make them really interesting and a really core part of your story. And let's be honest, bad guys who are evil for evil's sake aren't that interesting, and you need to do a lot to make them good bad guys. So let's have a look at how we can work some of this. To make a villain sympathetic, then the party needs to be able to connect with them, to maybe feel bad for their situation. Maybe they're not really a bad guy, and maybe they have a really good reason for what they're doing. Like they might only be chasing your party across the entire world to restore their honor. But if you can make your villain a decent person overall, or even a very troubled or hurt person, then your party can take a liking to them, and then they might try to win this person over to their side. Though you don't need to make this easy. What they're after could be very important to them, or they might have other things to gain from what they're doing. But perhaps the best way to keep a sympathetic villain from turning good immediately is to have another bad guy, a bigger villain, behind them responsible for what they're doing and keeping them from turning good. All it takes is your master whispering things in your ear about everything you've done and how evil you are to convince you that you can't turn good. Even if the party has taken a liking to this villain and are doing really well to convince them to join their side, and maybe they roll really high as well, then you can make it seem like they're going to join them. They can even help them a bit and seem like they're gonna join their side. Then they get a stern talking to from their boss, get reminded about all the evil things that they've done, and get threatened with what will happen to them if they do join the party. And sometimes it doesn't hurt for the main villain to remind them what they have to gain from working with them in the first place. Then the party can be hit with a surprise betrayal. And to stop your party from thinking that the sympathetic villain was just playing them all along, you can even make it very clear that they don't want to do this. They could even apologize as they stab them in the back. But something important to keep in mind is that your sympathetic villain probably shouldn't betray the party more than once. Because if it becomes quite a common thing for the party to trust them and get betrayed, then they might start thinking that they just don't have a chance with this character and that he's probably never going to turn good. But now that we've talked a bit about making a sympathetic villain and how you can make it work, let's talk about some really cool ideas that you can do with this framework. So, a really cool idea is that the sympathetic villain and the main bad guy don't have to be on the same side, but the main bad guy can still be influencing what your sympathetic villain is doing. Like, if the main bad guy has wronged your sympathetic villain in some way, then they might be out for revenge, and maybe their goal is good, defeat the bad guy, but maybe their moral and their ways of doing that aren't particularly great. So your party might like this character and want them on their side. Then they can set to work trying to recruit this person and try to fix them. Maybe your sympathetic villain doesn't have an entire redemption arc. Maybe they get only part way there. Like one time when they're fighting the party, they pull their punches and let them go. They could even decide to help the party if it benefits them. But that doesn't mean that they have to turn good. They can still split up afterwards when they no longer have aligned goals, and maybe they'll still be a problem for the party later on. Another idea is that if the party does get one of your sympathetic villains to join their side, then maybe they can join as a sort of work in progress. Maybe the party spends some of their time trying to fix them, teach them how to be better and not so villainous. And if they keep this up, then your sympathetic villain might get better. They might open up to the party and actually start to become a part of the group. Or if your party gives up with them or decides that they can't help this person, then maybe they split up and later the sympathetic villain returns as the BBEG. But there we go, that's the end of this video. I really hope that this will help you to make better villains for your D&D campaigns. And if you found it helpful, then I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider liking the video and maybe even subscribing to my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you next time.